Phil Jones, have you guys know me personally, professionally, and you guys know who this insatiable young man is. And if you don't, let him remind you.
What is going on, y'all? I know it's been a minute, but I'm here. It's Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that.
Let's go. And you guys know who we are. We are The Extraordinary Man, and this is The Extraordinary Man Podcast coming to you guys live from, it doesn't matter where we are right now. No, I'm up here in the Midwest, hanging out with little bro. We finally got a chance to come back up to come and hang out. Last time that you guys saw us do it in person, he was down in Florida with me. And now this time I got a chance to come up here, come hang out with him and the family and stuff like that. And Midwest, what do we say?
The weather, bipolar. And that's never changed.
Oh, that ain't gonna change. It's just, after you haven't been around it in so long, it starts to like I told you when we was out in the field earlier today. I got a chance to see what real men do for work. I realized that I don't work too hard. I gotta appreciate what I got going on. So we're gonna actually include a little snippet of that in the video a little later, but we'll more on that later. But no, we go outside, it's like I got this sweater on, throw the safety vest on. We out there for about 30 good minutes, and now I'm sweating bullets, and it's like, oh, come on, man. Like, this is something I don't miss. One thing I can say for sure, if I can't say nothing else, is that it was a good time being up here. Mainly because of the fact that you get a chance to see things that you ain't seen in a while.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things about the stuff that I haven't seen in a while is that you get a chance to get that little bit of nostalgia, you know. Get to miss some things.
Yeah.
Ate like a pig.
What?
Ugh.
Midwest definitely known for the food, man.
Chicago, specifically,
Yes.
is known for the
Yes.
food. Let's just get that straightened out. Chicago was known for the food, and I ate every single day like I ain't had no home training. And I'm going to regret it all the way to the house. It's a long
Well
drive.
worth it.
Long drive.
Well worth it.
Man, but you know, one thing specifically though is that, you know, I talk to people a lot about the bittersweet relationship that you have from moving away from where you're from, getting reacclimated, readjusted someplace else, and the differences that you feel when you come back. You know, obviously you didn't go too far, but at the same time, it's like it's far enough to where the way that things are done here in Indiana is a lot different than the way that they were done back home.
Yeah,
right?
way different. It's a way different way of life here.
You know, I mean, like, what are some of the things that you experienced ever since you left?
First and foremost, the taxes for sure. You know, only necessities get taxed. Things that are necessities aren't taxed. I definitely see a difference in the school systems. I definitely see a difference, just way of life in general. Your neighbors, everything is a complete, totally different atmosphere here.
Yeah, people, when I got up here, people tend to be friendlier up here.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because like it's just a state away, but just a state away is a world of difference.
It's a world of difference, yeah.
How they vote, the overall morale, the upkeep of the neighborhood, and how people are taking care of things. Not to say that people don't take care of things in Illinois.
Right.
But it seems like there's just more unity and camaraderie in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and it's like, depending on what side of the fence you on, whether you a Dem or you a Rep, it still feels like everybody still is cohesive and everybody's working together. Everybody, you know, definitely have similar outcomes of how they want things to go and run, and it's just totally different. It's different. It's not really that much of a divide. As far as what I can see, I don't see that much of a divide here at all.
Well, as I tell people like me leaving and moving to Florida, one of the immediate things that you notice, obviously, despite the weather, is the way that I knew how to make money and the way that I knew how to hustle and move around the city of Chicago is much different down there. The economy is different. The way of life is different. It's a lot slower pace down there. So when you start looking at things as far as how things are done, you have to start acclimating to the way that people operate
Right.
in that particular area.
Right.
And it's not to say anything about Florida particularly. It's just that it's so much different than where you're from, that you bring a lot of your old world mentality with you, and it takes time for you to identify someplace else's home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get acclimated with the way that things go, at the pace of life, and you start like really making plans for your life, where you at. How does it affect the children? How does it affect the family? How does it affect everybody?
Exactly.
What's in this place for me? How do I make this place my home?
Right. I love it here. That's all I can say. I love it here. I know we got plans on South Carolina. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But as of right now, I'm straight.
I mean, that's one of the things too.
We straight.
That's one of the things too. Is like when you finally break your barriers of where you're from, and you start getting outside of it. It's like the world you become a resident of the world.
Yes.
You know, it's just
absolutely.
Like people ask me like, oh man, why do you drive? Like you could just fly. I'm like, do you know how much fly stuff you don't see just flying past it? Like I tell people all the time, man, I love Nashville. Nashville is one of my favorite cities ever. I love Nashville. If I have time to stop in Nashville, I always stop. Atlanta, like coming up here, I got to pass through, like as far as major cities are concerned, I passed through Atlanta, I passed through Nashville, passed through Chattanooga, I passed through, and depending on which way that I'm taking to get here, if I'm coming from the east up Indiana, then, you know, of course, you got to pass through Indianapolis, or you got to pass through Louisville and Indianapolis. If you're coming from the west, then you pass through Paducah, right on the state line, and then up to Chicago from there. Like, you see nothing for the next 4.5 hours until you get in Chicagoland.
Pretty much.
So
pretty much all corn, all soybean.
Wind turbine.
But that's it.
Some people that they don't know the slavery over. You know, that was off color joke. Whatever, I'll say it. But I said I'm not taking it back. It's fine. No, but you have so much going on that you just want to stop. You want to see what's going on. And it's like I've added to my account of states that I've been in, that I've been able to see certain things, try different food, meet certain types of people. I was surprised at how friendly people were in Nashville. I remember the first time I went, I walk in the door, I want to buy a coffee and a donuts, middle of the night. I go in, I'm a little short on cash. I think it was like $306 for whatever the total was. And it wasn't the fact that they excused it, it was how it was done. So I say, hey, all right, I'm a little short. Got some change in the car, I'll go grab it. Oh, don't worry about that. I was like, you sure I can just go grab it real quick? Like, the drawer sometimes is over, sometimes it's under. It all balances out at some point. And it's just like, I'm like, are y'all all like this? Or this is just, it's just like, oh, you city guys are all the same. Y'all come down here and it's like everything is just such a rush. It's such a hurry. It's it has to be this way or it's not that way. And it's like, the rest of the world don't operate like that.
No, they don't.
And this is how I'm having a conversation with the gas station clerk. We don't.
I think I came to that realization as well when me and the wife, my, at that time, fiance, we got married in South Carolina. And that's what I noticed, you know, the difference in the way of life, and everything is a little more slowed down, and, you know, everything isn't, it almost felt like stepping back in time, because, you know, the clothing is a little bit different, the styles is different, language is different. You know, down there, you know, Tupac and Biggie were like they still alive, and they rappers today, you know. So I don't know, that was pretty cool. Them being extremely polite, everybody's helpful. I ain't never been nowhere like that, you know. I remember going to the store, and my mom came out the front of the store, and I pulled up in the truck, and you know she got the cane, so
Right.
I stepped out to try to come get her. But another gentleman was already on it. Like, yeah, I got you, bro, and helped mom to the car. I'm like, man, I ain't never been anywhere like that with somebody, where people are that helpful.
You know, it's funny because like when I was in the city yesterday, I'm taking mom to the store, and to the Fair Play. It's on 47th and Halsted, I want to say. We go in the Fair Play, and again, I haven't been in a Fair Play in years. I didn't even know this store still existed. So we go in there, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna let you out of the door. Grab a cart." Just because she's having a hard time walking, of course. So go ahead, grab a cart, and I'll go park the car, come back. So we walk around the store, very slow, just trying to maintain our pace, get her through.
Yeah.
So the issue that ensued was we get to the line. There's a young lady in the front of the line. She's right in front of us. And she's got one of those little Cash App cards or whatever. I don't know how that thing works. I've never used it before. But clearly she was having trouble. She had tried it once. And while mom was talking to me, it's like I'm over here overseeing the exchange. And by the time it declined her card the second time, I just yelled over there to the clerk and I said, "Hey, how much is that? The total of that?" She says like 44 and change. And I was like, looked over at the girl and said, "Hey, go ahead, get out of there." The girl was in such astonishment of the gesture that she literally looked around as if she was getting punked. I told her, "Go ahead, you good. Today was your day, you good. Don't worry about it." So she's still like on the way out the store, just like kind of looking like she's looking as if she like she's still in it like this, like she's waiting on the camera to click on, like she getting world star or something.
Right.
I'm like, "No, don't worry about it. You got it. I took care of it." So now we start ringing up my items, and then she's still just like inching her way out the store in such disbelief and awe. So now mom and the cashier are having a conversation about like, "Oh man, that's so great at what he did," so forth, and like this is some big moment for them. It was $44. To me, it was like, okay, well, I've been that person, but the genuine kindness that I've experienced being in the South, being away from the hustle and bustle of the big city environment, it made me look at that moment like that's just the right thing to do. To where it's like this is such a big deal, and like the whole thing as far as culture is concerned. You sit here and you look at certain situations, and it's just like, to your point of just people doing for other people. It was more of a shock to me, and again, I've been gone over a decade. So it was more of a shock to me that this level of, like, it's just kindness. It's just $44. And then you think about it on the back end, it's like, to that young lady, this is probably the nicest thing that's happened.
It was the world to her.
Right, this is the world to her. And it's like, to me, it's like, this is just what you do. This is just what you do. I didn't tell her nothing corny like, "Oh, well, now go pay it forward and go to," no. Today was your day. You got it. It's all good. Went in there, bought my mama some groceries, bought you got dinner. I don't know if you got kids at home or if you single, whatever your situation is. It's not none of my business. Hey, don't worry about it. You good. But leaving, I remember too, when I was a resident and I was in the thick of it, I was so selfish and self-centered. And I realized too that a lot of blessings you didn't get because you can only focus on yourself. Because you lived in an environment to where being too friendly could get you taken advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, you can easily become a mark when people see you as a mark. a stain, a lick. You know, depending on where you at, depending on who you may have came across the right one that day.
Man, like you know how many times it was friends, people I kicked it with on a regular basis that something in their life changed, and my kindness became they come up.
Yep.
And it's just like, dude, you could have just asked. I mean, it's funny to me because, again, it's like this is part of that nostalgia I was talking to you about. That is like what driving up signified. What walking to my car and seeing those Florida plates on my car signifies every time that I go. When to go get my oil changed, they need to put my information in the system. I hand them my Florida ID, and it's just like, yeah, I don't live here. That constant reminder of this is a short stay, but I can be here when I want to be.
And you want, any day, anytime.
And I can be in New York when I want to be. And I can be in Wyoming when I want to be. But when I lived in the city of Chicago, I never thought I would be able to get out. I thought I was trapped there.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. You know, it's sad that, you know, I know individuals that still have not been to Millennium Park. I know individuals that still have not been to the museum and all that. And it's in Chicago. They have not been off the block. They still there.
It's like we was talking about the other day. That you got people that have lived on the west side that they have this understanding of the west side or the north side or the south side or the southeast side. They have these predisposed or these presuppositions about these areas. And they create these reasons not to expand their boundaries and leave where they from. Now, mind you, if you're on the west side, all your quality of life needs can be met right where you at. There's grocery stores there, there's food there, there's housing, laundromat, whatever your needs of life
within this span.
Every neighborhood in Chicago, like you very seldom have to actually realistically leave your neighborhood because everything that you need, quality of life service, maybe the hospital you might have to go a little out for, depending on where you at, medical issues, whatever the situation is. But for the most part, every neighborhood was self-sufficient in the fact that it had a business that could cater to the bare necessities of life. However, I never really understood why expanding your boundaries was such a hard thing to consistently think about. It's just like when I was staying on 48th and Drexel, I did everything I could to get out of there. And it's like the mental block that was there was every day I walk outside. And it's funny because like when you tell the story now, you go down there, it's like you telling the story and you sound like the old man in the club, like, yeah, this right here used to be a liquor store. And this right here used to be a bank. And then this right here used to be a Save-A-Lot. And then this one, like you just telling the story of what it used to be. And then I'm going down 47th Street looking how they revamped a lot of that old stuff and they turned it into something cool. They cleaned it up. Then you get by the Green Line and it's just like, some of these people are still hanging outside of the Green Line. These were the same people standing out. Some of these people and some of these grown-ups that standing here were the little kids when I was living here that are now the adults. The older ones that didn't go to jail, that didn't die. The old drug dealers are now the junkies. And now it's the young. Now it's the young kids that grew up that have now taken the place of the old ones on the block. It was crazy to me to sit there and look at some of those faces. 47th to Indiana, Calumet, Prairie. For those who don't know, like
it's all gentrified and they built up. It just ain't the same. It ain't the same.
One of the most astonishing things was when I seen how far the Hispanic population had moved over east. They never were past Western. So now it's like when you're driving up between King Drive, Cottage Grove, and everything else, it's like, okay, so now that sector of town has now migrated this way.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. I think that's real cool. Like when I sit there and I'm like, yo, I can get Mexican food right here on
Yeah, you're
this side of
starting
town
to see
now.
a lot of that now. So you're starting to see a lot of, you're starting to see a melting pot now where you can go over here, you can get your tortas and everything, and then right next door you can get halal. You know, it's starting to become a blend,
But
and it's nice.
but it's saying like the South Side, which had the notorious reputation for being this ghetto, this that, is now starting to look like Rogers Park. It's starting to look more like more people of different nationalities are moving in, and they're bringing stuff with them when they come. And this kind of goes back to the conversation we were having earlier today about the businesses and what people are actually bringing to the community, what they're charging and how they're doing. And that's a conversation for another day. We're definitely going to get into that.
I want to get into that one of these days for sure, because that was a deep convo too. But going back to what you were saying as far as like, you know, nostalgia and, you know, driving through, like I remember last week, I brought Mia to work, you know, so she could see what Dad do. And we driving through Uptown, and I'm like, man, this over here, you know, this used to be this, and that used to be that. And, you know, I had a friend that used to stay right here, and da-da-da-da-da, just showing her all the different things and all the businesses that used to exist, all the houses that used to exist. And, you know, driving through Cicero, or driving on Cicero, I showed her where our old house used to be, but now it's a big warehouse now. Like that whole area got tore down over there on 167. Man, I'm just thinking about it. Like I'm in shock to see all that gone now, and to see other things in place. But that's just what it is. Things gotta rotate, move, change, elevate. You know, I get all that, but you know, feeling like the old man in the club. You know, showing my kid, you know, how, you know, I used to live, and, you know, how things used to be. You know, it's just definitely brought back a lot of memories and stuff like that. So
it's progress.
It's progress, yeah.
It's progress. And sometimes you see an evolution in the people. Sometimes you see a devolution in the people. And one thing I will say, and I mean this wholeheartedly, there's a lot of things that we didn't know coming up. And that's one of the things about the nostalgia that really plagues a lot of us. And anybody that's listening to this, that's watching this, you have to remember that no matter what situation you're in, you are still a step ahead of the people who raised you. Because the internet and what it has to offer, the access of information that you have, the level of understanding that you have, may not have been afforded to the people before you. And for whatever reason, you may not necessarily agree with your parents and how they did things, or aunts, uncles, grandparents, whoever raised you. You may not agree with everything that they did. But the truth is that for the most part, most of them, the picture is bigger than what you saw, because you're looking at what you did and didn't get from the eyes of a child. Sometimes when you become a parent, it becomes apparent. You're like, okay, these conversations that I'm having, I wonder if mom and dad had these conversations. When I'm sitting there getting ready to say what I'm about to say to my child, you know, I didn't like when dad said that to me, so I'm not going to pass that on. I'm going to not do that. I'm not going to put my hands on my kid to try to get their attention. Instead, I'm going to try talking to my kid. I'm going to try something else, because now that I'm in the driver's seat, I get an opportunity to do something else. Maybe the issues that I see in my kids, I had those same issues myself, but back then there was no sensitivity to those things. There was no diagnosis for those things. There was no understanding of those things. That everything was such tough love back in the day that now it's just like, there's probably so much undiscovered stuff that I could have knew about me, about my relatives, about the community as a whole, but nobody thought anything about it. But because of this newfound access to information that we have, and I see the behavior, it's like, yo, instead of me chewing you down, go get you checked out. Because there might be something going on.
Absolutely.
And we catch it early enough, we might be able to do something.
You might be able to do something about it and add some more sauce to them ribs. When you mentioned what's going on in the family, you know, different type of diseases or different type of sicknesses or whatever the family may have.
Stuff in the bloodline.
Stuff in the bloodline.
Like
you know,
hereditary natures.
That information, well, now that we're living in an information era, world now, it's opening up our minds to start asking the hard questions.
Right.
And the younger generation are the ones that's trying to have these conversations. Well, how did grandma pass? How did granddad pass? How did your sister pass? Oh, she had an enlarged heart? Does that run in the family? Is she the only one that passed from that? Who else passed from that?
High blood pressure, hypertension.
Who died from that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that, you know, yeah, you right. You know, we have definitely have elevated. I myself am starting to understand a lot more about emotional intelligence. You know, I think I'm starting to see the difference with that whole tough love thing, and then actually being understanding to certain situations, being mindful to the situation. Let's actually attacking it and being a little bit more gentle and understanding of it to try to come up with a resolution and things of that nature.
Yeah, like just because it ain't my way, don't mean it's not a good way. And sometimes that's a lot of how we were raised. That they used to tell us stuff like, "I'm the adult, you the child," or my favorite one, "Do as I say, not as I do."
Yeah,
you know, there was a lot of that, and that was community wide. And now that you have the keys, you can say, okay, that ends here.
Because it didn't work.
Right.
It didn't work, you know, and it's like, excuse me, along with that, you know what I'm saying, you do as I say and is stay in the child's place and all.
Oh, that was my favorite.
You know, so it's like those type of statements and those type of talks and those type of, you know, movements really shut us out from learning real world things that we needed to know. Okay.
They don't want to discuss money with us. So now when it's time for us to know how to use credit, when it's come time for us to, like, nobody sat me down and said, here's how you balance a checking account.
Correct.
Nobody said, here's how you pay a bill. And again, it's like, to somebody listening, this sounds like, oh, you know, simple. Yeah, it's simple now because I had to do it for the last 20 years.
I had to learn it. I had to get out there and learn that was something that you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
I had to learn that, you know.
You know, so it's just like, there's a lot of things to where if somebody would have sat down and said, hey, let me tell you about the credit card trap and how to not get caught in it.
Correct.
There's a lot of mistakes that I wouldn't have made. Somebody say, hey, here's how you protect your identity with your social security card. I would have never got scammed at 19. I would have never had to fight for the first really 6-7 years of my adulthood to try to get my identity back. Had somebody who's like, hey, listen, this is the most important 9 digits that you got to your name. It says everything about you. So if you blow it, or if you treat it like it's something that's not valuable or vulnerable, somebody will.
Yeah.
Somebody will find value in your name.
Somebody out there know the value of it.
Right. So now with my daughters, what I do is authorize use on my credit card. So when you ask, hey, do I spend whatever, questions that come up is like, hey, what are you eating for dinner? Like, while I was here, I'm on the phone. Why don't you go ahead and get dinner for the house? Okay. What card do I use? All right. You go, you bring the receipt back. Okay, I spent this much. Okay. So now, what's going to post within the next 24 to 48 hours. So now, once it posts, and then you keep a ledger of the receipts, and you verify if you paid them, if I paid them. Now, again, it's all coming out of my account, but getting accustomed to the understanding that if you use it, you have to pay it.
Correct.
So therefore, I want you to not even have a second thought about if you went to go spend it, go pay it. So now you come back and you tell me, hey, Dad, I paid the Amex bill. That $44 that I spent the other day, and you sign your receipt verifying that you paid it. So if ever there's a question at the end of the month, say, hey, I see a transaction in here about such and such, I might not remember 30 days from now. You're like, oh yeah, go through your yeah, remember I paid it that day. Okay, we move on.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've been working on with my daughters. You know, sons, he still got some more growing up to do.
A whole lot of it.
You know, but from teaching them about, you know, keeping record of your receipts. If you can, get an email as well. A lot of stores are sending email receipts now. So ain't no reason to never not have a receipt. I've taught them about bartering. You know, I want to say that was maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe. I started teaching about bartering with Halloween candy. You know, hey, take this. This is a sheet of paper. That's your half. This is your half. You put down on your half with pieces of candy you willing to, forego, give up. And she put pieces of candy down. And if y'all like the deal, make the deal. Turn the paper, and now that candy becomes yours.
Right.
And blah, blah, blah. So I taught them that. And it's a few other things. So, of course, you know, as far as, you know, Social Security and stocks and stuff like that, they're not ready for that yet.
Right. As they get old enough to comprehend.
Yeah. But that's just stuff that, you know, a lot of us, you know, it's not just us, but it's our whole entire generation. I ain't gonna say the whole entire, that's for the not all police.
Not all.
For the not all police. Most of us have dealt with that, where the childhood was decent. You know, some of us, you know, were you know, worse off, but a lot of us were in decent households, but we just did not get those real life lessons.
We got our needs met.
It's
like free healthcare.
That was about it.
Yeah, you got it's free healthcare. It's basically like, we'll provide you with it, but we're not going to show you how we did it. Like, it was always a faux pas in some of our households to discuss money.
Yeah.
And I always felt like that was the wrong attitude. Like, why are we not discussing money? Why is that not a huge sector of the conversation that we have?
Yeah.
Because it's one of the tools that's going to impact our lives the absolute most is money. So why is that not something that we discuss? Why everybody frown up when the conversation of money come around?
Yeah.
Like, we should be excited to talk about money.
And yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, the cell phone bill need money. The light bill need money. Food needs, you know what I'm saying? To eat, you need money. To clothe yourself, you need money. To make your car move, you need money. Almost everything requires money. It's like a basic build. It's part of the body. It's a basic building block of the body that makes the human function.
It's a tool.
It's a tool, and
it's a tool that it's the medium of exchange that allows us access to almost everything that we need. So it was agreed upon long before I came here, and I don't see it changing in the near future, you know, unless cryptocurrency just decides it's gonna boom out of nowhere. And before you know it, like, hey man, I'm finna buy this loaf of bread with Dogecoin. Like, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But for the most part, even just cryptocurrency, just the advancement in where the understanding of where money is headed.
Right.
That my children's children may not be dealing in US dollars.
Correct.
The world's reserve currency, by the time I leave this